You're listening to the John and Heidi Show Bonus Hour. If you miss any of the program, you can find the podcast at the bottom of the page at sunnyradio.com.
Give yourself a little credit.
I've been telling you about BetterCreditCards.com for a few years now. I'd love for you to take a few minutes today to check out the website. Who knows? You might find a better credit card, one that offers a better rate, or a credit card that offers cash back, airline miles, or other points and perks that can help you. Check it out now.
Give yourself a little credit. Go ahead and switch to BetterCreditCards.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Excited to visit with Dr. Harley from Balanced Life Chiropractic. We have Back to the Basics in Healthcare coming up. Now, if you ever missed that program, you can find that program and several other programs at SiouxFallsPodcast.com. Again, we just set that up recently and going to be adding more of those as well. But again, you can find that at SiouxFallsPodcast.com. Also coming up a little bit later, we have This Day in Sioux Falls History. That's brought to you by Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry in downtown Sioux Falls. Speaking of history, they've been there since 1902. The oldest jewelry store in the state of South Dakota. And we have This Day in Sioux Falls History now saved as a podcast as well at SiouxFallsPodcast.com. Coming your way here in just a moment, we've got those fun things and much, much more. A big thank you to our brand new sponsor at Sunny Radio, 777 Casino. The all-new 777 Casino is now open in the former VFW building, open 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. 7 days a week, right on the corner of 49th and Minnesota Avenue. Again, it's at 3601 South Minnesota Avenue, just off of 229 in the former Sioux Falls VFW building. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
Insurance. It's important to have insurance, but it's more important to have the right insurance. After all, if you're not covered, it's like not even having insurance. Make sure you're covered for whatever claim might come your way with InsuranceChicken.com, helping you peck out great insurance deals in your area. You need insurance on your car anyway. Why not get great rates for great insurance from InsuranceChicken.com? That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Time now for Back to the Basics in Healthcare with Balanced Life Chiropractic. We have Dr. Harley with us. How you doing, Dr. Harley?
Hey, John. I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm good. Is your team playing in that big football game this weekend?
Oh, I really don't follow football.
Me neither.
I mean, my husband does. He's a big Jaguars fan. You know, a couple years ago, they were pretty good, and then they've been pretty good lately, so I've been happy about that.
Well, I don't have a team in the game, but I know a lot of folks are going to be sitting on their duffer this Sunday watching the game, and this is kind of like the last big eating holiday for a while, too. And we've talked about that in the past, like when we have Christmas, we have Thanksgiving, and we have New Year's, and all these things where people overindulge. That's also a time when they don't feel necessarily great, right?
Right. You know, we kind of get cold and flu season in there, but a lot of it can be from the overindulgence of food and alcohol and sweets and sugar and all these things, and it really depresses our immune system. Then we're not getting outside as much. So it makes sense if we get really sick, you know, a week or two after Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if you want to try to avoid that with, you know, this next big food thing with the Super Bowl, you know, maybe use some of these tips to help.
Try not to eat your weight in Little Smokies and meatballs.
That would be a lot.
That would be a lot.
Right. You know, Super Bowl is not, even if you're not a football fan, people always watch it for the commercials or get together for the Super Bowl parties to eat all the food, which is always a lot of fun, but then you're regretting it the next day or two. You know, there's usually veggies, trays, stuff like that. You know, maybe add a couple of those onto your plate versus just hitting all the buffalo chicken dip or burgers or sliders, you name that. You know, moderation is always a good thing.
And this is another thing where a lot of people will make a whole day of it now because there's like, oh, the pregame, and then there's the pregame, and then there's this thing before the pregame, and you know, so now it's like a whole day. It's not like watching a movie. That's 2 hours. But there's a whole day of sitting on a sofa and again eating and. This can lead to not great things health-wise, right?
Right, and then Monday you're wondering why your back hurts or your neck hurts. Cause
I know people who take Monday off because of it. You're like, I got to recuperate.
Right, you're sitting on the couch the whole time. Well, couches are not the best for especially our low back. Because if you think about it, when you sit in those couches, you kind of slump into it. And if you're sitting like that for hours, that's when you're really going to start noticing that low back pain. So kind of a simple help with that is put a pillow behind your back. That's going to help kind of push your back out a little bit so you're not slumping into that couch, as well as just getting up and moving around. You know, commercial breaks, get up, stretch, walk around a little bit, go outside, get some fresh air, maybe hug a tree or get away from the TV for a little bit.
And if they're getting up during that time to go grab another beer, because that's another thing that happens a lot this weekend, is people tend to drink a bit. And that can also make you feel not too good.
Right. Alcohol in moderation, right? But make sure you're drinking water. You're like, but beer has water in it, but it also has alcohol. So make sure you're drinking plain, good water to help replenish a lot of that dehydration you'll get from drinking the pops and alcohol drinks that you're drinking.
Very, very good. And next week, we're going to talk a little bit about, because we got Valentine's coming up, which this is your early reminder, guys. If you haven't done something for that yet, make sure you start thinking about it. Yeah, it's sneaking right up. So if somebody would like to reach out to you, maybe to start a healthy journey with chiropractic being part of it, how do they get a hold of you at Balanced Life Chiropractic?
It's never too late to start. It's never too early to start. This is a great time of year to get started on your health journey. Like January is always like 2024 health goals. Well, we can always start at this time too. It's never too late. You can reach out to us at 605-215-1785 or shoot us a message on our Facebook page at Balanced Life Chiropractic. We'd love to chat and let you know how we can help you with your health goals.
You can find them on their website as well. That's balancedlifesd.com.
What could you do with an extra $129 a month? In this economy, every penny counts. So an extra $129 each month would absolutely help. Well, 97% of us have a cell phone, and the average person pays $144 a month. Mint Mobile can help you save a mint. At just $15 a month, that's an average savings of $129 each month. It's time for a Mintervention. Switch and save today. Get this special offer at Mintervention.com. That's Mintervention.com.
It's time now for This Day in Sioux Falls History, brought to you by Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry, the oldest jewelry store in South Dakota, using time-tested techniques to restore and repair jewelry, and using the latest technology to create custom pieces. Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry, 325 South Phillips Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. It was on this day, February 7th, 1897, a very interesting passage in the history of Sioux Falls. A man by the name of Richard Lamb died on that day. Now, to hear his story, he led a good life, but at face value, not an altogether remarkable one. Richard Lamb moved to Sioux Falls as a young man with his wife. They eventually had a couple of children. He owned his own business on the main street of Sioux Falls, the street we now refer to as Phillips Avenue. His business was just across the street from the Grand Cataract Hotel. He made his living as a barber, and what was somewhat customary for the day, due to some previous training before coming to Sioux Falls, he dabbled in the practice of medicine. Richard Lamb also owned a small piece of land that he worked. He was well regarded by the people of his community. He shows up time and time again in the newspapers of the day for one reason or another. He served on local boards, joined local organizations, weighed in on local matters. He even ran for local office on one occasion. Upon his death, he is eulogized in the local newspaper with no shortage of flowery words. But what, you may ask, made Richard Lamb so special? Well, the fact is, he was a black man. And keep in mind, this was the 1800s. It doesn't square with everything we've been taught. Black men in the 1800s were not allowed to do all of these things. They couldn't live this kind of life. But Richard Lamb knew back then what many of us have learned. Sioux Falls is a different kind of place. To these pioneers, the early residents of Sioux Falls, Richard Lamb was not a black man. He was just a man that they could trust to do his job right. And they loved him for it. This Day in Sioux Falls History has been brought to you by Thomas James and Bechtold Jewelry at 325 South Phillips Avenue in downtown Sioux Falls.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-310-5831. 800-310-5831. That's 800-310-5831.